Thank you very much for joining us for the very first show on Turning the Mirror podcast. Today we want to talk about the unanswered questions on the ongoing abductions. Joining me on the hot seat is Owoth Kaboko. How are you, young man?
Oh, thank you. I'm good. Happy New Year. Welcome to Turning the Mirror podcast. At the hot seat here, we are to discuss abductions and the unanswered questions. Get tuned.
All right.
Thank you.
So the very first question that many people are asking is, who is behind the abductions? And when you ask the question, who is behind the abductions, of course, it will go hand in hand with the question, why the abductions?
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Oh, thank you so much. Many youths today in Kenya, they're being abducted. People have been speaking against the government in social media in different ways. The recent trend is through the AI, the use of cartoons. So these young men have been abducted, and we are asking the question, who should be abducting them? Is it the government, or is it the thing that people are saying they're abducting their own selves? Could they be abducting their own selves when it is the government they criticize?
Okay, my very own opinion. At the hot seat, we put it plain. And of course, when we are here, we are giving it out there as we think or what is in our minds.
Thank you.
So what I think basically is, number one, automatically, I'm quite sure it's the government who are behind these abductions. And I would say that and support it in this way. If you look at the caliber of politicians who are pro-government and the sentiments they keep giving in every occasion and every event they attend, whether it's burial, whether it's where the president himself is, they give, they use statements which someone who reasons would automatically read something out of it. Look at Kimani Ichung'wah, for example, the majority leader in the National Assembly, when they were attending the burial of the mother to the current National Assembly Speaker, Moses Wetangula. The Trans Nzoia governor, His Excellency Natembeya, talked about, actually, he was condemning the abductions, and he didn't mention a specific individual, maybe pinpointing or directing the arguments to them, but just told the government to actually ensure that the people are safe. Because anyway, the government has all access to all details where you are. And if they want you, they'll automatically come for you and they'll get you. So Natembeya was trying to just address the government and telling them to protect the children of this country. And then Kimani Ichung'wah comes and talks as if I can't fathom.
Yeah, sure.
So if you look at the caliber of politicians who are pro-government, they seriously defended and are seriously defending the ongoing abductions. And that would tell you something, that in a way the government knows what is going on. Again, second, the reasons why I'm saying that the government knows, or it is the government who are doing this. Why is it that all those who have been abducted have one thing in common? They are the critics of the current regime. Whether on Twitter, formerly Twitter, currently it's known as X, whether on their Facebook, like using their social media accounts to criticize the government and talk about the wrongdoings of the government.
Yeah, sure. Recently when I was listening to this ally of the president, Honorable Sudi, he was actually speaking and saying in a public place that he wished the president was appointed him as the interior, the CS for interior, that he could have cleared all the things that people are doing in social media. He could not have allowed the youths to express themselves the way it's happening. So he just sees that enough has not been done yet. And it's so sad that the abductions are still proceeding. But there is also this question that some people are saying that, could it be that these people, the youths that are being abducted, they're in cahoots with the persons in opposition, so therefore maybe they just want to tend the picture of the government, but it's not so realistic anyway. Yeah.
You find the president himself on top of a vehicle, or even in a rally. He behaves as if he is against the abductions, but then again tells you that parents teach your children. Like he's suggesting something towards abductions, like he's attacking while defending. You see, again, the other question that has not been answered is the police are saying that they are not the ones conducting the abductions. That is one. Number two, they are saying they don't know those who are conducting the abductions. But if you look at if you look at the mode of how the abductions are being conducted, you'd automatically think or say that the police know something.
Of course, because it has been happening so randomly, like one after the other. You know, these people being traced. You know, they have even the tiniest information about them. They know this person right now is at the Kinyozi. They can trace. It is just the police who have the access to this information. They can track them through their mobile numbers, through their accounts in X and everything. It is them who have that access. You know, there is nobody else. Because if the government could tell us that it is not them or it is not the police who are doing this, then we could be asking ourselves then which state or the situation where our country is. Because that will mean that we are in a very terrible situation and the country is a mess and the country is, we are in an unprotected government.
Look at it this way. The police says we don't know those who are abducting the citizens. We are not the ones doing it and we don't know who is doing it. Someone goes missing for 2 weeks, but then their accounts, because they have their phones, like let's talk of the gentleman who was abducted while at the Kinyozi. Automatically our age, the Gen Z and the better part of millennials, you can't walk without your phone.
Yeah, sure.
And so when going to the Kinyozi or barber shop, you will automatically carry your phone with you. So this young man has their phone with them. Wherever they are, you'll realize that the abductors, according to the sentiments they are giving after they are released, they go through their phones, they check, they are questioned why they are,
their accounts.
they are questioned why they are checking on the government. You want to tell me the police cannot use the information they have and access to the phones and trace to the exact point where these people are kept? Again, if you look at it, you realize that how these abductions are conducted, you'll realize that those who are conducting it have some background in the security. How security affairs are conducted. So in short, even in as much as the police are saying they don't know, some of these things are directing the claims to them.
You know, we can't just say, you know, it started way back during the anti-finance bill protest, 2024 finance bill. You know, when this happened, you saw there were frequent abductions that were done by the government and even to government officials or maybe people who are politicians in different positions who are in the forefront fighting against the government. You know, when they were doing this, the government was doing the abduction. Then when the youth turned to social media, them who are being abducted recently, the opposition leader of Uganda, the former opposition leader, was abducted in Kenya. Like he was just taken by in Kenya, of course, you know, but it's true that cannot happen without the involvement of the Kenyan government or the authorities in Kenya. So this is something that is frequently happening. So we can't imagine there is another person who is coming in to do the abduction if not the government. You know, if it was so, you know, the abductions that have been the recent frequent ones has started way in November and also in December. You know, till then, the police or the security forces in Kenya, they can't tell us they've not traced even captured one person who is doing the abductions.
Aside that, the police are saying that, of course, they're saying these are not them. And we tend to agree because then these people are masked. They are not in police uniform. They are not identifying themselves. You know, the law says that if the police is to arrest you, they must identify themselves. So if they're not in police uniform, then they must show you an identity that they're the police. And that's why they're arresting you.
And also another case, you know, these people were dropped, they were released on the same day when people were threatening they will go to the streets. They were threatening the government to demand for their release. So the question here comes.
You know why I placed this thing on the police? I was part and parcel of the media crew covering the June protests all the way to when the parliament, actually when the young men got into the parliament. I was part and parcel of this protest and even after. I can tell you as a fact, of course I have the footage, that even those on the police Land Cruisers were not uniformed. Majority were not uniformed. In fact, we had several Land Cruisers full of ununiformed officers with no identity, and they were masked. Yeah? These officers were actually either shooting directly where the protesters are, or directly shooting or pulling the tear gas where these people are. And imagine the tear gas canister hitting you in your face and then exploding.
So horrible. You know, Kwach, my biggest concern, let us wrap up this conversation. My biggest concern is that where are we headed to as a country, and what does this show to our government, or maybe the picture of our country, or maybe as youths ourselves? What does this communicate to us? Because this is done by a government that was elected by the people of Kenya, yeah, because we are in a democratic country. Is it that we are following the footsteps of democracy, or we are returning to the back the days when we were brutalized, even in the colonial period, when it is the white man who was in our country brutalizing our people, when they were fighting for their rights, when they were speaking against the evils that were done against them? What does it show to our country and the image that it portrays?
Even before you look at the image, you know, it all starts by us voters. Because look at the current regime. Look at the current caliber of politicians. The president himself, the opposition chief, those who are now in opposition, like all these people started their politics or were present in the 1990s, the 90s politics. And then they rebrand, they regroup, and still present themselves to us as the saviors. And with us, we look at them as our person. This is our tribesmen, and then we give them votes. You see? So it is us, the electors, to look at it differently, and then look at it without actually, you don't have to have a lot of money for me to elect you. But I need to look at you as a leader, someone who is authentic, someone with a vision to take the country forward, to take the constituency forward, to take the world forward, like all the positions.
Plus the track record.
That
you can actually do that.
Yeah, because if you look at it, you realize that even the opposition are in bed with the government. And that happens in every electioneering cycle.
So horrible.
Because immediately after elections, we have the opposition members jump the ship and join the government, which is very bad. But the unanswered questions, we've just given our minds, our opinions, our views. But of course, you out there, you also have your very opinion. You have what you think. We can also see that in the comment section.
Yeah. Before that, is it really safe to be a youth, a young person in Kenya?
It is not safe.
It's not
in
safe.
fact, even as we are doing this podcast, you don't know. Maybe tomorrow you might find yourself abducted.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I can tell you, walk around with maybe a tester or a screwdriver, because that is a tool. If they try you, you know what to do with it.
You know, it's so dangerous, it's so worrying, and the youths are so stressed up.
Yeah.
We just don't know what comes next. Yeah, but whatever the case, whatever the situation that comes, we must take back our country, and that's it. Thank you.
I'd love to close this by saying this. Those who are claiming that these young men abducted themselves, do you think somebody like Kibet Bull would actually leave the scholarship which he was supposed to go to, like outside country, to go and study, see the parent cry, see the parent suffer?
It is just the government trying to channel propaganda.
Yeah. Thank you. Until next time, let's keep talking. This is the hot seat. My name is Kwach.
This is Owot Kaboko. Welcome.